I don't know that I've earned the right to really call myself a Leaf yet. I think that you have to spill some blood and, blood, sweat, and tears. And while I grew up here and love the Leafs, lots of people have. It'll probably take a while before I can really say I've earned that right to really call myself a Leaf, because I think it's something that's not just given with a job.
It's January 2nd, and the Toronto Maple Leafs are hosting the St. Louis Blues, hoping to begin 2016 with the same strong form they'd exemplified through November and December. Form that suggested President Brendan Shanahan's plan was on the right track.
I can't really say that I'm surprised. I'm pleased. We want to put the Toronto Maple Leaf crest back to its rightful place. When Mike came on board, this is what I expected. When Lou came on board, I had a very strong feeling again that some of the off-ice shenanigans and some of the dressing room stuff is going to end. Our structure on the ice, our structure off the ice, the way that our players are behaving, they're working so hard.
From downtown Toronto, the Air Canada Centre. Great to have you with us. Holland in over the line.
Among those who had drawn notice for his hard work was Peter Holland, who had bounced back from early season struggles to provide much-needed offensive punch. In the early days of the season, Holland found himself a healthy scratch. His place on the roster suddenly cast into doubt.
To me, it's straightforward. If you compete hard enough, you get to be in the lineup. If you do the right things, you get to be in the lineup. And if you play good, you get to play. If you don't play good, you don't get to play.
He showed me some clips individually that he wasn't happy with. My compete level, I think, is something that has been knocked on me in the past, and is something I'm trying to get better at. I think just doing a better job of winning 50-50 pucks, being hard on guys, making it tough for guys to play against me. It's easy to point fingers, but at the end of the day, it was my responsibility that I wasn't doing my job to the best of my ability. Try to let my work ethic, I guess, kind of speak for itself. Make sure that when we have something to do in the gym, I'm in there and I'm doing it. Try to be one of the first guys on the ice, one of the last guys off every day of practice.
Spending time out of the lineup had helped remind Holland how important being a Leaf was to him, and always had been.
I was a big-time Leaf fan growing up. I grew up idolizing like Matt Sundin. I wore number 13 in minor hockey, and I moved out of my house when I was 16 to go play junior hockey in Guelph. So my room back home is actually still covered in all like Maple Leaf paraphernalia in blue and white.
When I was growing up, Hockey Night in Canada, it was like the social event Saturday night. We pretty much had to stand for the national anthem. Peter grew up listening to, Hockey Night in Canada stories and that kind of thing, so always a Leaf fan.
After being drafted in the first round by the Anaheim Ducks and spending 2.5 seasons bouncing back and forth between the NHL and the minors, Holland was shocked to learn he had been traded to his beloved Toronto Maple Leafs.
It was a surreal feeling. I didn't believe it at the time. It was like almost one of those outer body experiences. And I mean, one of the first people I called when I heard the news was the trainer of my American League team, because he would have had to pack up my gear and make sure it was ready to go for me. And so I wanted to make sure it was real. So I called him first before I even called my parents to tell them the news. And then I got a hold of my dad and I asked him if he was coming to the Leaf game that night. And he was like, well, no, I don't think so. And I was like, oh, well, you might want to come watch me play. And so that was pretty neat.
There's Peter Holland wearing number 24, 22-year-old from Caledon, played minor hockey in Brampton.
I'd never had a chance to play at the Air Canada Centre before with the Ducks. And so my first game Not only was it at home with the Maple Leafs, but I was centering the first line. It was a Saturday, it was Hockey Night in Canada. I mean, it was just like, it was a script, you just couldn't write any better.
You know, this story you shared with us after the fact, you know, just before you're about to go on the ice, you're putting on all your equipment and you're sitting there and you lay the jersey across your knee getting ready to pull it on. And he said, you know, I just sat there and stared at the blue jersey and the label. Right? It was the coolest thing.
Now here's a chance for Holland in. Holland with a shot. Goal! Peter Holland! His first Leaf goal!
Some good pressure on this power play. Puck worked back. Gardner scores! It was tipped.
I first came back in Dallas. I tipped one in front of the net, it went in. The next game, I think I had the shootout winner. Maybe a game or two after that, I had another goal. So maybe just certain bounces like that maybe sometimes don't go your way, just happen to go my way, and it kind of helped get me on the right path. I feel like I'm playing some of the best hockey in my career right now. So, you know, if that's what it took, then, you know, that's what it took. When you get taken out of the lineup for 4 games, it really makes you appreciate how lucky you are to be here and to be a part of this organization. And so I knew that when I got the chance to come back into the lineup, I wanted to make sure that everybody who was evaluating me saw that I really cared about being here.
On January 11th, the Leafs held their annual outdoor practice, this year at Dieppe Park in Toronto's East York. This practice is special for everyone, especially for new Leafs like young center Byron Froese.
It was awesome. I loved it. I loved every minute of it. I thought I'd be more cold than I was. I was actually extremely sweaty and hot, and I mean, I didn't feel my ears or my nose, but they must have froze off early, maybe, I'm not sure. See all the fans come out there and support us. It's unbelievable, our fan support we have here.
Froese had come a long way since beginning the previous season with the Cincinnati Cyclones of the ECHL.
A lot of it is just working hard every day. You never know who's in the crowd watching, whoever's there scouting. If you let doubt creep in and stay too long, I think it'll knock you down a little further.
One person who had never doubted Froese's ability to eventually reach the NHL was his former agent, Leafs assistant general manager Kyle Dubas.
I had always kept tabs on Byron. The first 3 years that I was at Sault Ste. Marie were his first 3 years in the Chicago system, and kind of saw that he had fallen a little bit of tough times there. It's a good organization with lots of good players.
Brad Lynn is
I had come on late in the summer, and one of my duties was to run the Marlies, and we got off to a very rough start to the season. Keeping tabs on Byron, seeing that he had 24 points in 17 ECHL games with Cincinnati at the time. I, of course, had known Byron for a long time, and we put the call into Cincinnati to say, you know, we'd like to recall Byron to the Marlies.
Froese provided just the scoring touch the ailing Marlies were looking for, earning plaudits from his coaches and a serious look at the next Maple Leafs training camp in September.
Coming into camp, I felt like I was a little behind, but every day I just felt like each day I was getting better and better. I had a conversation with Coach Babcock, would have been a few days before I got sent down, and it was all positive. He said he believed that I could be an NHL player, and basically just said, go down, keep your head held high, work hard, and you'll be up here before you know it.
Luckily, before you know it came even sooner than Froese had expected, as the centerman was called up to replace the injured Tyler Bozak a mere 3 weeks into the season.
We get to see Byron Froese make his National Hockey League debut here tonight. That's going to be fun.
You know what? He's worked hard to get here. East Coast League, American Hockey League, and now an opportunity to play in the National Hockey League.
Super pumped and really, really motivated and excited to get going.
I didn't know who he was, obviously, when he came to camp. He's competed hard. You know, the ball's in his court. It's kind of a good opportunity playing in Montreal. It's a fun place to play. It's your first game in the National Hockey League. I think it's a good deal.
You know, for me, it was getting the nerves out in warm-ups, and after the anthem, getting that first shift under your belt, and then you just play hockey.
There's the first National Hockey League shift for the aforementioned Byron Froese, wearing number 56 for Toronto, just up from the American Hockey League's Marlies.
Coach Mike gave me a lot of ice time that night. I felt like more than I thought I would get as a first-year guy, first game, and I think that really boosted my confidence.
The way that he came in, he was determined, and he put his head down right away and went to work. And I think it's a great story for everybody in our organization.
He's bounced against the boards, and Froese takes the puck. Here comes Brad Boyes, cuts in, stopped by Edwards. The rebound, they score! Byron Froese has his first National Hockey League goal.
On January 17th, Molson Canadian invited the Maple Leafs to the rooftop rink they'd built atop a downtown Toronto skyscraper. The opportunity was one Froese, his wife, and many of his teammates couldn't pass up.
No, I'm not tying your skates for you.
Come on! My hands are getting so cold.
What? It's warm. It's pretty crazy how close it is to the edge. I think you got to wake up every day and really appreciate where you are, where the opportunity that you have at hand, and to say you're a Toronto Maple Leaf, it's pretty crazy. I feel like once you're a Toronto Maple Leaf, once you're a Toronto Maple Leaf for life. Fans remember guys that have played 10 games or the guys that have played 500 games. So it's amazing to be a part of this, and to be here, it's incredible.
After starting 2016 with a pair of wins, the Leafs soon began to struggle. By mid-month, the team had lost 5 straight and were sitting near the bottom of the league.
We recognize where we still are in the standings and that this is still a long journey, and we haven't taken the NHL by storm by any means. I think that teams that are playing against us now are not coming in here and licking their chops and saying this is going to be a fun, easy night. We still have to work with the players we have and get more out of them. We have to keep developing the guys that we've drafted and are in our organization. Our work is just beginning.
While some feared the team might be reverting to the form that saw them go 1-11-1 the January before, the mood in the locker room remained positive and upbeat. A large part of that positivity was attributable to Captain Dion Phaneuf.
First things first, I don't like to compare this year to last year or last year to the year before. I don't think that's fair to do. Every year is new. Every team has the same start. And this year, with the changes that we had in management and new coaching staff, there was a lot of change. It's a full new system that you're playing as a team. You've got a lot of new guys that have come into our room. But right from day one in Halifax, I thought our group's really done a good job of coming together and building our game. I wasn't happy with how I played last year, and I wanted to come out and have a real good start this year. I said from day one when I started playing in the NHL, I wanted to continue to get better, day in, day out.
Well, I think he's done a good job. What I was told and what I have is night and day different. Real good leader, real good person in the room, real good with our young guys, been excellent. And then, he's creating offense for us, and he's one of our most plus guys, so we've liked what he's been able to do for us.
With the history of the organization, the fans that we have, the support that we have, it's a huge honor for me to be the captain of the Toronto Maple Leafs. I want to keep building our group. I want to keep helping our group take steps to where we ultimately want to get to.
Welcome to Philadelphia, where the Flyers are making a second-half run. They'll play host to the Toronto Maple Leafs here tonight.
In the midst of a 5-game losing streak, January 19th against the Philadelphia Flyers was a must-win. Still, out of the gate, the Leafs were being outworked.
The Philly game, they came out hard. They always do. It's an energetic building. When you go into Philly, it's a tough building to play, and their fans, they get behind their team, and they started well. They came at us, and we expected a push from them, but we had a little bit of trouble pushing back.
The Maple Leafs needed to find a way to swing the energy back in their favor, and they got it from Phaneuf.
Behind the play, Phaneuf's got the gloves off.
After the first 10 minutes, I thought the Phaneuf fight was a big deal for us. They were taking it to us. Thought we got competing and controlled a lot of the game from that point on.
Under 7 to go in the opening period. Lupul up for Boys. Banks it ahead for Holland, who spins back. Centers it, Boys tips it right on. Rebound, score! Roman Polak bangs it home. Kadri rink wide for Phaneuf, and alone. Phaneuf taps it back in front. Rebound, score! Joffrey Lupul.
There's lots made out of different things in games when things happen in games, whether it's a hit, a fight, a big goal, a big block shot. There's different things that lift your bench. Yeah, I had a fight. Rhymes was emotional about getting bumped. That's all part of the game. Those are things that can bring energy to your team, and you hope that it brings energy, and that's why they're done.
Barento picks it out back for Hundrick with a drive, scores! Matt Hundrick from the point! And the Maple Leafs take the lead with 7.5 seconds to go in the third period. And the Toronto Maple Leafs score late and win it by a final score of 3-2 to snap a 5-game losing streak.
We've done a lot of real good things in our game. I think we surprised a lot of people in how competitive we were. And when we do put that effort, when we do put that compete there, we're in every game. So the thing with us is we've got to continue to work on our consistency, and we've got to continue to build wins. And that's what we've got to work on for the rest of the season.
On January 23rd, the Toronto Maple Leafs would announce the induction of Turk Broda, Tim Horton, and Dave Keon into Legends Row in Maple Leaf Square. Frayed relations between he and former owner Harold Ballard had long kept Keon from taking his place among the pantheon of Leafs greats. Now that was about to change.
I remember Dave Keon as a Leaf, and I can't tell you for certain that I remember watching him play, but I remember having his hockey cards. In my mind, he was the captain of the Leafs. I would say I was unaware of whatever happened between he and the WHA and Harold Ballard and things like that. It wasn't until I came here in this role and we did Legends Row that I started to learn more. When you hear actually stories from teammates or what Punch Imlach said about him, to have someone refer to you as like a bulldog, but you also are such a gentlemanly player. The fact that he was able to do all this and some years have like 2 penalty minutes.
Among the best players to ever wear the blue and white, and the only one to win a Conn Smythe trophy, Keon was a key part of the last Leaf dynasty in the 1960s.
We thought we were pretty good, and then we just kept getting better. And the fans were very supportive. When we won, they lined the street. It's wonderful. It's wonderful. There's a picture from the old City Hall right down Bay Street, and there's just a mass of people as far as you can see. And the cars can't move. And there's a picture of Frank walking up the street because the car wasn't going to get there, and he was walking up the street.
The day of the announcement, Coach Babcock invited Keon to join the team in the locker room after practice.
This is a lot different from Tommy Naylor's place.
Yeah.
There they are. Oh, there.
The players and Coach Babcock were telling stories about how great it was to have you in the room this morning. What was that experience like for you, seeing that you had the stall there and talking to some of the players?
Well, it was a little bit different than the meetings we had when Punch was running the team. I can remember there was a lot of swearing. There was an and a the, and there was more swearing, and then it was over. It was enjoyable to see how much, how it's progressed since I left the game.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Toronto Maple Leafs would like to welcome all of you here at Air Canada Centre as we introduce the next 3 players who will be inducted into Legends Row. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome back to Air Canada Centre, number 14, Dave Keon.
Keon, Horton, and Broda embodied what it meant to be a Maple Leaf, and what President Brendan Shanahan was looking to get back to as he and his management team restored the franchise to its rightful place in the league.
We can look back on the last 100 and think some decades were great, some decades not so great. It's really going to be about the next generation of Toronto Maple Leaf hockey players and management. What do we do with this sweater while we're wearing it?
Yep, and then I just grabbed this. This is what they used to wear in the 80s.
And in its centennial year, the Toronto Maple Leaf sweater would be a new one. After much consideration, the team's new logo had finally been decided upon, and Shanahan wanted the players to see it before anyone else.
You'd be switching it as hey Dion.
So I want to talk to you guys a little bit about next year, and it's about us rebranding the Maple Leaf. I wanted to bring it to you guys first. You're going to be on the front line. You're the guys wearing it. I'm excited just because I think that there have been some wild rumors, of different things that, we're trying to capture millennials, or I don't even know what they call the next generation, but we're not. We used to be called the Toronto Arenas, then we became the Toronto St. Pat's. Conn Smythe fought in World War I, and he said, I want my hockey team to have the badge that the brave men and women that fought with me in World War I wore for Canada. And we didn't hire a marketing firm. We talked with hockey people, and we went back to what we think is the very first Leafs dynasty. It only made sense to go back to what the Maple Leaf was originally intended. So, just a little look.
The tradition of being a Leaf is something that you can't duplicate.
It's bigger than who you are.
The Leaf crest is the symbol of our country.
Original six-team hockey mecca of the world.
All the players that have been before you.
Johnny Bauer.
Sillaps, Peter Kennedy, of course.
Daryl Sittler.
Wendell Clark.
To be able to be part of that history is humbling.
Next time on The Leaf.
Playing 82 games, traveling alone all the time, it's nice to have your dad every once in a while. I think it's something you realize later on. I mean, just some of the guys on the team right now have kids, and you kind of put your life on hold, and that's obviously what all of our parents did for us, and I'm sure a lot of us wouldn't be here today and having the success we are without them.